mag-partner para yung senior high school curriculum natin gagawin nating akma sa mga pangangailangan ng industriya. So kung at yon, bibigyan din natin ng parang menu or pagpipilian ang mga magulang, ang mga estudyante kung ano yung natitipuhan nilang pasukan na industriya o trabaho, meron na silang makukuhang work experience, on-the-job training, work immersion, at hindi lang yung padaplis na work immersion na sandali, 1 linggo, 2 linggo, kundi babad talaga sila. So, makakakuha sila ng skills and masa-certify sila. Kaya, very employable or hireable sila pagkatapos ng kanilang work immersion. Yun yung pakay ng aming memorandum with the P Corp na maswerte kami na mismong si Pangulo ay nag-witness doon. At dahil yun ay galing sa kanyang utos na kailangan yung mga senior high school graduates natin magkaroon ng trabaho pagkatapos. Dahil yun ang pangako natin nung pinasa natin yung K-12 reform. Medyo naging controversial yan yung taong 2012, 2013. Pero ang pinangako ng gobyerno sa mga pamilya, yung mga anak nyo magkakatrabaho, hindi na kailangan magkolehiyo, hindi na kailangan mag-universidad para magkatrabaho.
That's amazing. So this addresses that gap that was sort of a low-hanging fruit for many years. Ngayon, meron ng internship, on-the-job training na relevant sa mga gusto nilang pasukan.
Yun yung maganda nung sinabi ni Pangulo, nagsama-sama yung mga industriya. At dito sa P Corp, nandiyan dyan yung IT BPO. Ibig sabihin yung mga call center. Yan ang fastest growing industry in the country in terms of employees. Over 1 million employees yan. Nandiyan dyan po yung Philippine Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Nandiyan dyan po yung SAPI, yung semiconductor industry. So all kinds of industries nandiyan dito. So talaga makakapagpili talaga yung bata. At nakikita niya na may pag-asa at may katuturan yung pag-aral niya, yung dagdag na 2 taon na papasukan niya.
How does it feel that upon entering the Department of Education, you see this strong support from the private sector, and you're now in cabinet, and it's just such a great synergy.
Yes.
How do you feel about that?
I'm very gratified. I think it's also, number one, it's a sign of the goodwill of the Marcos administration. Dahil nakikita ng pribadong industriya na very open si Pangulong Marcos na may say ang pribadong sektor sa pagpapatakbo ng gobyerno at very open and nakikinig si Pangulo. So yun ang nagugustuhan ata ng industriya. Kaya dito sa edukasyon, nakikita nila na nakikinig din si Pangulo na pag sinabi ng industriya na medyo bumababa yung kalidad ng ating edukasyon, sabi niya, Sani, kailangan ayusin natin yan. Hindi tayo papayag na patuloy yung pagbaba ng ating edukasyon. Tapos yung sinasabi niyang skill level natin, kailangan itaas natin. Tapos yung mga trabaho na nakukuha ng ating mga graduates ay hindi lang yung basic na trabaho. Kailangan mas quality jobs, ika nga.
Okay, wow. So we got straight to work right away. Let's go back to the day that you became Department of Education Secretary. I've known you for so long, and I've always known you as a politician.
Yes.
Yes, and now you're in the Marcos
20
cabinet.
20 years a politician.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. So, what is it like for you in this stage, and how different is it as a politician and now being a cabinet?
Well, it's very exciting, but the political skills medyo useful din siya kasi you have to deal with a lot of people,
Right.
principals, teachers, students, families, administrators. The DEPED is one of the biggest organizations in
Yes.
government. So, your political skills come in handy. But dito naman, in politics kasi you want to say yes to everyone. It's very hard to say no to people. But here, hindi naman tayo tumatakbo sa posisyon. So, we can run it very professionally, I think, and learn how to say no sometimes. So.
Well, you were approaching the end of your term as senator. The timing, like, were you ready for this? Is this something you wanted?
Well, it cut short my term by 1 year, no? Kasi naka 5 years na tayo dito sa pangalawang termino natin, Daphne. No? But I think the president's offer was too good to turn down. At saka yung oportunidad na makatulong talaga sa ating mga pamilya, mga estudyante, mga teachers to help the education sector. It was a very big opportunity, and I'm very thankful to the president for entrusting me with this difficult job.
Right, difficult job.
Yes.
It is a difficult job. It is an agency that needs a lot of help, needs a lot of improvement. As you could see from yesterday's meeting, even the private sector is so willing to help just to improve the quality of education for our students. What can you bring in to the organization?
Well, I think I can bring in some vision, a long-term vision, and I think I can bring in also some efficiencies, meaning run it in a more efficient manner. Nakita natin na sometimes hindi umaabot yung mga aklat. So the president said, sabi nga nung presidente sa kanyang SONA, we must deliver the books error-free and on time in 1 year. So he set a goal for us. He's basically sinasabi ni presidente sa atin, you better be more efficient. At saka kung hihingi natin sa mga bata na mag-perform sila, kailangan yung departamento mag-perform din siya. So you deliver the books on time, you build the classrooms, you create the learning environment. Kailangan i-train natin yung ating teachers in a way na hindi masyadong hard sell. Kumbaga gusto rin niya, alagaan natin sila dahil alam niyang may mga pamilya itong mga teachers natin. Sabi niya, tingnan natin holistically yung mga sitwasyon ng ating teachers dahil karamihan dyan umuutang, sila yung breadwinner ng kanilang pamilya. So sabi niya, based on his experience nung governor siya ng Ilocos, importante na kausapin niyo sila as human beings and as family, heads of families also.
The Matatag curriculum was established just before you came in.
Yes.
Are you amending it, improving it? Are we continuing?
We're continuing it because it's the product of several years of study, Daphne, and the direction, we're continuing the direction. But again, it's a pilot. So this year, we're doing grades 1, 4, and 7 for the Matatag curriculum. And the following year, grades 2, 3, 5, and 8. So whatever the learnings are for that first year, we will, kumbaga, iterative yung process, meaning we're willing to change as we go along, as we learn from the experience of actual on the ground, and we get feedback then from our teachers, tsaka yung mga estudyante. Anong kailangan baguhin, anong pwedeng pagandahin.
In addition to improving the curriculum, support for teachers, what you mentioned, was something so important and also close to the heart of the president. Anong makikita natin na tulong na pwedeng, you mentioned a few already, but what are the other support that you can give to the teachers?
Well, the president has really given that clear marching order. Kaya tayo, we really kept that in mind and took it seriously. At now we signed the implementing rules for the career progression, expanded career progression of our teachers. One of the big problems in the teaching profession, Daphne, is the lack of career opportunities or clear career paths for our teachers. Meaning, pagpasok niya ng teacher 1, pwede siya maging teacher 2, teacher 3, pero pagkatapos doon, parang nababara yung kanyang promotion. So, ang ginawa natin, kinausap natin yung DBM at Civil Service Commission at saka Professional Regulatory Commission. Gumawa tayo ng mga career paths. So, may school administration path tayo sa mga gustong maging principal, tapos gumawa tayo ng teacher 4, 5, 6 para ma-promote. Kasi yun yung, kaya napapirate daw yung ibang teachers natin. Kasi after 10, 15 years as teacher 1 or teacher 2, parang hindi naman tumataas ang kanilang sweldo. So naghahanap sila ng ibang opportunities, minsan abroad. So very susceptible to poaching yung ating mga teachers. So with this career progression, maraming matutuwang mga teachers dahil kitang-kita nila, pwede silang tumagal sa teaching profession at they can eke out a living wage and provide a decent living to their families.
Oh, that's wonderful. Now, tamang-tama yung timing na pagpasok ninyo na mag-open ng school, tapos nagkaroon ng malaking bagyo. Kamusta na? May backlog ba sa improvements or mga bagong classrooms?
Yes. Medyo kinabahan kami doon, Daphne, kasi, the very first day, parang nasa over 1,000 yung hindi nakabukas nung, July 29, kung di ako nagkakamali. But ang maganda, after 1 week, lahat naman nakabukas. So, even the most flooded schools, maraming binaha sa Metro Manila Kamanava, and even in Region 1, tsaka sa Mindanao, mga binaha talaga. But ang maganda dyan, doon ko nakita talaga yung bayanihan spirit ng ating mga communities at ng ating mga teachers at yung sakripisyo. Parang nabilib talaga ako sa ating mga teachers na yung dedication nila, yung sila na mismo na nasira yung kanilang mga bahay or apektado sila ng baha. Pero nandoon sila sa eskwelahan at nag-overtime sila para lang malinis, para lang mahanda yung mga aklat o yung mga libro ng ating mga estudyante. Yun talagang, it's very heartwarming, it's nakakataba talaga ng puso. At cannot say enough about the sacrifice of our teachers.
It's a real calling. It's a very special calling. Well, we still have a lot to talk about, Secretary.Angara, so stay with me here. Up next, pag-uusapan natin ang mga hakbang na ginagawa at gagawin ng Department of Education para matugunan ang mga problema sa basic education. We will be right back. Welcome back. You're still watching Malacanang Insider with Secretary Sec.Angara of the Department of Education. Secretary.Angara, let's go into the problems of basic education. One of them is, of course, the low scores of the Philippines in the PISA testing of the OECD, the Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development. We are like second to the last.
That's right.
Right? In creative thinking
and reading as well.
Right.
Yes.
What can be done?
Well, it really goes to the quality of our education because the PISA exam measures very specific types of skills. They present you with a situation and you must react to it and analyze it. So hindi lang siya parang yung normal exam na ano yung nangyari itong date na to or ano yung cause nito. So they really give you a problem. It's a very real world type of thing.
I saw it. It was quite hard.
It's not easy. Oh, I've seen it also. So hindi siya madali at minsan cross-cutting pa siya. Ibig sabihin by cross-cutting, marami siyang tinatakal. Pwedeng math, may reading in one problem. So it is a challenge for us because very structured yung teaching natin.
Right.
And we also teach in a certain form that doesn't always encourage analysis and critical thinking, which is another thing na binanggit ni Pangulong Bongbong sa kanyang SONA, na kailangan analytical thinkers tayo, critical thinkers. So that's also what the PISA tries to measure. So sa akin, I think we need to have more test exams that are PISA-like. Kasi hindi tayo sanay sa ganon. And number two, binibigyan sa computer. It's administered through computer. So, yung ibang bata, hindi sila sanay mag-computer. Mas lalo na mag-exam. Siyempre, kinakabahan ka. So, pag nakita mo yung computer for the first time, medyo apektado yung performance nila. And again, also, we should zero in on sino yung grade levels na yon and make sure yung science education nila is very focused and very targeted towards that type of exam.
So there are many ways to address that.
Yes, different ways.
Different ways.
Through teaching and also through technology and also through tutorials.
Right.
So different things.
Well, education, it takes like a generation to see the result.
Yes.
What reforms you put in now, we won't see it until they graduate 12 years later. So what are the seeds that you want to plant as DepEd Secretary? Well,
the learning delivery is important, I think. But if you're talking about a lot of things that I want to change the culture in a way because we want to have a culture of assessment and measurement, meaning based on our decisions are not based on what we think or what we feel, but really based on evidence. We measure our outcomes. So when we test our teachers, when we rate them, I don't mean necessarily more exams, but maybe more objective tools to measure our education outcomes. And then technology, bring the education system into the modern world, you know. So I think kasi may traditional problems tayo, yung classroom gap, yung kakulangan ng computers or libro. I think technology can help us leapfrog a lot of these problems.
And now there are so many other apps and companies that are willing to do these things for free or for less cost.
Yes, that's right.
And I believe that the DepEd is also looking into these kinds of partnerships.
Yes, we actually signed I don't know if you've heard of Khan Academy. That's one of
that's
the
a
biggest.
mommy's best friend.
Oh, you use it?
Yes, it's so efficient.
Yes, that's right. That's right. I mean, ano siya, parang education software or edtech as they like to call it. Para yung ang ganda kasi interactive siya. But it requires na may computer ka nga. So, at saka, ang maganda sa kanya, another thing that you talked about what we want to plant, I think we have to make learning engaging and fun. Kailangan masaya yung bata. Kasi pag masaya siya on his own, he will seek out new forms of learning. He on his own, kahit wala yung teacher or hindi required, gagawin niya talaga dahil enjoy siya. Di ba? So, I think Khan Academy, that's one thing they do very well. And we can learn from that.
So you mentioned dapat masaya at hindi gutom. That's another thing that the DEPED is also involved in nutrition.
We have a feeding program. The president mentioned that during our meeting because he knows he's very aware that it's a cross-cutting thing. And it's not just about food supply, sabi niya. It's about nutrition, making sure kids eat the right thing. Hindi lang any type of food. It's nutritious food. It's a good mix, the right protein, carbohydrates for energy. He's very concerned about that, no? So,
Secretary Angara, I was asking you earlier about this path that you took for 20 years being a politician and then now Secretary of Education. And now that I think about it, it's not surprising. You do have roots in education. Your father is the OG of education.
That's right. He was a UP president back in the 1980s. And he was the chair of the first EDCOM, or Education Commission. Yun yung nag-analyze ng mga problema ng educational system, which is why we have, as a result of his work at EDCOM, nagkaroon tayo ng DepEd, ng CHED, ng TESDA, and all these education agencies, National Book Development Board, etc.
So, as part of the legacy, is there something that you would like to continue that your father had instilled in you?
Well, he aimed high. Gusto niya talaga world-class yung mga Filipinos. So I think that's one thing that we should try to instill sa baba, na talagang kaya natin. It's just that minsan yung culture na wag pwede na lang, dapat talaga. We aspire for mastery. Diba? That's something the founder of Khan Academy said. You don't aspire for pwede na. You aspire for mastery. Maaaring hindi mo makuha, pero, di ba, parang pag gumagawa ka ng bahay, tatapusin mo yung bahay. Hindi mo sasabihin na gagawa lang ako ng one story, di ba? Yun lang, matatapos na ako doon. In everything, you have to aspire for mastery.
And also, in their generation, nakikita natin noon na talagang umangat sila through education. And aspiring for excellence.
Yes. Yun ang pinagyabang sa akin ng aking ama, Daphne. Pinagyabang niya na never siya nagbayad ng tuition.
Wow.
Laging may nagbayad ng... Of course, public school product siya from elementary to part of his high school. Tapos UP, subsidized yung tuition niya. And then he earned a scholarship to go to the University of Michigan Law School. So yun ang pinamana niya sa akin. Sabi, you have to open doors for the less fortunate. Dito sa increase access to educational opportunities.
Okay. Well, you mentioned tuition, so I'll go back to some of the questions here. Meron palang request na magtaas ng matrikula or inaapila ng mga pribadong paaralan. Where are we at this request?
They're private schools, so I think that's their prerogative, no? But
Really?
because they should know also. Alam rin nila, may market penalty yan eh. Pag tinaas mo masyado, maglilipatan yan, di ba? That's why, in fact, some of the good public schools, doon naglilipatan yung ibang estudyante. Kasi alam nila maganda yung programa doon.
Is there anything being done to protect those who need it most to get into these public schools?
Yes, we have a voucher system. Yun ang maganda. So, under the GASPE, meron tayong vouchers na binibigay sa mga mahirap na pamilya. So, kahit walang public school doon, pwede silang lumipat sa private school. So, it's looking at the educational system as a whole. Parang yung private at saka yung public, complementary and parts. They are complementary parts of a whole.
So, looking at the education system now, you are the secretary. You have so many partners. You have the private sector, multi-agencies. You also have the foreign governments and agencies trying to help. Sino ang katuwang ng DepEd sa pag-i-ensure na ang bata ay may quality education?
Naku, madami, Daphne. It's really, sabi nga nila, it takes a village, di ba? Talagang buong, it's a community effort. That's what we're trying to develop. Nakita natin yan dati, pero parang may time na nawala siya. Na parang inasa na lang lahat sa eskwelahan o sa gobyerno. Na gusto natin ibalik na yung pagpapakain sa bata, yung creating a learning environment at home. Pag uwi ng bata, conducive to learning siya, di ba? Hindi yung maingay, malakas yung TV, di ba? Nakakakain siya. So, the basics eh. And then also, putting up vegetable gardens, yung gulayan sa paaralan, di ba? These are not strictly speaking the functions of a school, but because these are the problems, kailangan medyo creative tayo sa ating approach, di ba? So, that community approach we want to bring it. So, katuwang natin is everyone actually. Because, and the reason why I think it's come to a point na all these people want to help, kasi nakikita nila, apektado na sila eh. Yung mga negosyante, yung mga, teka, bakit parang hindi masyadong productive yung ating mga employees? And they realize it's a function of the educational system. So, kami, we have to start young. Feeding programs, reading, comprehension. Sabi ni President Marcos, make sure yung fundamentals natin are very sound, yung tinatawag na foundational skills.
That's great. Any future plans and message for our kababayans?
Well, binabati natin ang ating mga viewers at makakaasa sila sa mga reforma dito sa ilalim ni Pangulong Marcos. At ang hamon nga niya sa kanyang State of the Nation address sa atin, sa ating bagong kalihim, sabi niya, yung hamon ay itaas yung antas ng ating edukasyon. So, we're taking that to heart, Daphne, at talagang lahat ng posibleng gagawin po natin.
Well, Secretary.Angara, we are so excited that you are at the helm of the Department of Education, and I'm here to help you, communicate to the public your programs, and we're here to support you all the way.
Thank you very much, Daphne. Maraming salamat.